foundation of the Russian Prosecutor's Office. It has a vital role in the history of our motherland, in the strengthening of our society, in the forming the foundations of a law-governed state. Today, during the annual extended board session of the Prosecutor's Office, we will review our work in 2021 and consider the current situation to plan for the future. Over the past year, the bodies of the Prosecutor's Office has shown a lot of progress in many indicators. Rapid involvement of prosecutors in various social cases has helped protect the rights of over 1 million citizens, and over 22 billion rubles worth of debts on wages were paid out by employers. We had growth of employment, and as statistics shows, most of the questions that people appealed and most of the applications sent to the prosecutors by citizens were responded to and were solved and resolved. But I would like to also add that the issues that many of the issues are still unresolved. Many of the issues that have been posed by our citizens for years on end still require attention. There are certain objective reasons, such as funding, or, for example, the policies by regional and local authorities. But the staff of the Prosecutor's Office, together with regional groups, municipal groups, and local authorities, must strive to address every single issue of every single citizen, and do that not in a formal manner, not just by shoving papers around, but by actually working with your colleagues at the specific relevant level of authorities and strive to deal with every single issue. Furthermore, thanks to your efforts, we were able to reduce the number of unwarranted inspections of businesses. We have strictly clamped down on extremist views in the media. The bodies of the Prosecutor's Office and law enforcement officers' bodies should continue to work towards ensuring the rights of citizens, including the labor rights. And Russia has faced a massive, unprecedented sanctions pressure from the West. After the start of the special military operation to support the republics of the Donbass, we know that this pressure has even increased even further, and our regions are right now implementing strict measures to support our citizens, and we must ensure that these mechanisms work efficiently at every level. I'm talking about timely payment of pensions, of benefits and aid to families with multiple children, or to orphans, to help people get employed, etc. To achieve that, I believe that we should continue to create mechanisms to support all categories of socially vulnerable people in our country. Russia's economy certainly has all the opportunities and all the capacities to continue to operate in a stable manner. We have various mechanisms of entrepreneurship and businesses. We must deal with the changes in prices, but we also should respect the rights of entrepreneurs and create favorable conditions for them. If anyone abuses his position as a monopoly or makes deals behind the scenes, then the Prosecutor's Office and its staff should react to this promptly and clamp down on this. Russian business has been showing a lot of progress, a lot of good results over the past year. Not all of our businesses have yet dealt with the problems caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and now we face the sanctions pressure. This is a sanctions aggression that we are facing. In this situation, we should support Russian entrepreneurs, Russian businesses, using all opportunities, including by reducing the burden of administrative inspections, including inspections when it comes to, but of course, in certain cases, when it comes to the lives and healthcare of people, inspections must remain as strict as always, but there is a moratorium on inspections in other areas, and we need to protect businesses from extreme oversight, from extreme monitoring, unwarranted monitoring and inspection, and you have all the instruments to achieve that. Of course, the rights of business entities should not be violated. They should be provided government aid and preferences. The system of support of entrepreneurs must create comfortable and favorable conditions for businesses. Now, our prosecutor's office has certain new tasks when it comes to the new special military operation in Ukraine. During this operation, we saw that there have been massive violations of the norms of international law, such as use of mercenaries by foreigners in Ukraine. We saw civilians used as human shields, etc. And we need to investigate the numerous provocations against Russian military by the Western media and Western social media as well. Also, we need to curb any and all violations and crimes on the territory of Russia. Earlier today, the bodies of the Russian law enforcement thwarted the acts of the plans of a terrorist group that was planning to kill a famous journalist. They will deny that, but we have the facts, and they are incontrovertible. Another thing I'd like to say is that we are surprised, but many diplomats in Europe and in the US are calling on their Ukrainian satellites to use all opportunities to achieve victory on the battleground. This is a weird kind of diplomacy that we are seeing in Europe and in the US. These are diplomats. They should be calling for diplomatic solutions, but they must also realize that when it's impossible, they are trying to destroy Russia from the inside but even here they are failing. Our society has shown its maturity, its unity, and it continues to support our military, continues to support our efforts to achieve absolute security of Russia, to absolute security of Russian citizens, including the people living in the Donbass. We must support our people living in the Donbass, Russian people living there. And since they're failing, the West is failing in the information sphere, they are fooled by their overconfidence. They believe that they are dominating the information sphere. But since they have failed there, they have turned to terrorism. They have started to orchestrate plans to murder our journalists. And we know the full names of people from the West, of Westerners who orchestrated, especially the CIA, who orchestrated these terrorist acts. I think that this is the type of advice they're giving and instructions they're giving to their satellites in Ukraine. This shows their real attitude towards people's rights, toward people's lives. They only care about their own interests. Some continue. So we see that the colonial past of the West is breaking through here. We're seeing that. And we ask the officials of the prosecutor's office to deal with all such cases, to investigate them, to bring them to justice, to bring these people to justice. And on these and all other facts, our prosecutors, together with the government prosecution, should create the the legal basis that should be used in international in investigations in Russia and on the international level. We must have this framework for all kinds of crimes, starting from the coup that took place in Ukraine in 2014, that actually gave way to all the bloodshed and violence that we have been seeing for the past 8 years. Also, we should pay special attention to people coming from to Russia from Ukraine, from Donetsk and Lugansk. We have over 1 million people coming from those territories, including over 100,000 children and teenagers. People who are forced to leave their homes don't always have the documents required to receive aid, social and medical aid and healthcare aid. I would like to ask the prosecutor's office to protect their rights and review and deal with every application in a timely manner. Colleagues, we have many important tasks lying before our prosecutor's office. One of those is coordinating our efforts in the fight against crime. It is a good result that we have almost 100% 100% of all crimes that involve murders and other high-degree crimes. Over 100%, almost 100% of those are solved, but other more minor crimes are not as often resolved. And we should also fight against extremism. We need to strictly clamp down on all attempts to interfere in the domestic affairs of Russia from the outside, on all the attempts to destabilize our society, to stir up xenophobia and religious strife, and of course we need to react strictly to the spread on the internet of various radical ideologies, of news fakes, and attempts to organize unlawful demonstrations. Most of those are orchestrated from the outside, from abroad, and they are paid for from abroad. Another important area of work for the prosecutor's office is, of course, the support and defense of the rights of minors. We have to deal very strictly with all the crimes committed against children and teenagers. There should be monitoring and there should be special inspections and additional work to prevent such crimes. Another important area is the use of budgetary funds and control and oversight over the use of those funds. We have special national projects that have money allocated for them, but we also have the municipal level, regional level, and of course we must monitor the funding, the funds that are used for civil and defense procurement orders. Another important aspect of your work is to support the work of the government prosecution of the norms of environmental protection, etc. I believe and I'm convinced that the staff of the prosecutor's office understands very well their responsibility and will do everything to perform their duties in a principled and faithful manner. And I'd like to thank you for your honest work, and I wish you a lot of success in the future. Thank you. Mr. President, colleagues, the past year, we have seen a number of economic and social events, many of which required our inspection, our monitoring, oversight. We have stopped over 4 million crimes and restored the rights of over 1 million people. We have helped prepare the compliance with the law in the elections to the State Duma. So the elections to the State Duma were carried out without any serious violations that could affect the results of the vote. I'd like to emphasize that this assessment is based on the result of the oversight of all the bodies of the prosecutor's office that were carried out 24/7. One of the area of our work is to prevent the cases of non-payment of wages by employers, and we had seen the number of wages not paid by the employers to their employees rise from 33 to 36 billion rubles. So we will continue to work to resolve this problem. We have a difficult situation in the labor market, and we should use a new approach. We have the lists of enterprises that are not providing the social guarantees and wages of their employees. We need to strongly react to all cases when people's jobs are not protected, when people's labor rights are violated, and we need to save and improve the defend and improve the potential of Russia's healthcare system. Unfortunately, in some of the regions, we have seen a number of standards of healthcare provided in a substandard manner, and sometimes citizens have to pay for healthcare services from their own pocket. We have seen a practice that in certain hospitals, medical staff are not providing free of charge medicine that is paid for by the government. So when you deal with these kinds of violations, you should consider not just a single case, but look for similar cases, and you need to make sure that every ruble allocated to healthcare be used in an efficient manner, so that all citizens receive high quality and quick care. We see that the price of a lot of medicines is rising due to the greed of certain entrepreneurs that are associated with the healthcare industry in Russia. So those who violate the law must be held responsible, must be punished. So the chain of the various chains of pricing must be controlled. Speculation over prices must be prevented, and of course the rights of those groups of people who are most vulnerable, such as veterans, disabled people, families with multiple children, all of their rights must be prioritized. We have identified that in violation of the law, the processes associated with payment of pensions there have been violations there, and the pensions fund and the central bank have achieved a certain agreement to try to tackle this problem. Still, we see a lot of violations taking place in that area. We see a lot of applications and appeals coming from our citizens. For example, in Tatarstan, the pensions fund of a 100-year-old veteran was blocked. Or, for example, a person had his money and that was the benefits paid to him by the government to support his children were all stolen, and he couldn't support his children. So these are outrageous cases, and they should be prevented, of course. Budgetary funding is not always ample enough to support everyone, but we must support the law, and there are cases where where, alimony is not paid out, and the law enforcement remains inactive, and they are not helping people, helping families to receive this money to support their children. Also, when it comes to supporting minors and families with multiple children, we have to prioritize this work. And last year, there have been inspections when it comes to the rights of children to receive education, to receive various aids and benefits. When it comes to monthly payments for children aged 8 to 17, there have also been certain cases of violations. In some cases, people were not found eligible to receive these payments due to incorrect calculations by the state employees. Over 103,000 minors had their rights restored over the past year. Also, we helped over 17,000 young people, mostly orphans, receive housing, or they were compensated for the housing they bought. Also, we have, unfortunately, still the problem of many people still waiting for years to receive certain payments, or rather to have their cases addressed. In the area of minors and children, and we still have many problems. For example, on the internet, we have the Columbine ideology spreading. Over 700 groups and social media have been created. As a result, there were shocking attacks on schools, which resulted in the deaths of children. So we have we must give a special impetus to curbing these kinds of dangerous content that is spread online, including, of course, the Columbine movement. Now, soon there will be children will be finishing schools and passing exams, and there should be inspections when it comes to that as well. We also have the issue of housing and communal services. Unfortunately, we still have many applications coming from our citizens that say that their local housing and utilities services are acting dishonestly. We've had dozens of houses and hundreds of houses that were left without utilities and without water or electricity. We need to be more strict when it comes to pricing for utilities and for the standards used there. The residents must not carry the burdens that are the responsibility of government agencies or housing bodies, housing entities. The recent gas explosion in Stukina reminds us of the importance of maintaining safety and security standards, safety standards in housing. There have been measures taken recently to inspect gas equipment, natural gas equipment in houses. We have spent years talking about defrauded shareholders and investors in construction projects in Russia. In many regions of Russia, we have over 2,000 residential buildings that are still not completed, while people had already paid for them. It always depends on, many times it depends on the active involvement of prosecutors. We have seen more than 6 billion rubles assigned and allocated to pay out compensations to these people who have suffered, who have been defrauded, or to have these construction projects completed. In all cases, when law is violated, you should report to the local authorities, and when it comes to supporting the construction projects, we have mortgage systems, we make mortgage programs that are still being supported by the government. All illegal refusals to provide certain loans or other banking services must be identified and resolved. Now, when it comes to nature and environmental protection, there are issues here that should also be addressed. We have been able to reduce the number of unlawful deforestation and the amount we have addressed the issue of lumber being exported in violation of certain restrictions and laws. We should also take special care when it comes to protecting forests from fires. Another important problem is the slow rate at which the issue of waste disposal, especially solid waste disposal, is handled. Despite the law, we are not progressing quickly enough when it comes to waste disposal, to recycling, and you should make sure that all people responsible for violations be brought to justice and compensate for their violations. We have seen problems when it comes to civil and defense procurement. We have seen cases worth over 200 billion rubles, and strategic. We had bodies associated with Russian. We have seen national projects and their new inspections carried out all the time. We have most of the violations we see when it comes to such projects as education, housing, and environment. In cooperation with Russian financial monitoring, we have prevented the embezzlement of several billion rubles. In today's reality, when we carry out oversight, you should concentrate your attention on allocating funds when it comes to import substitution, to digital and equipment, etc. To react quickly to violations of the law, you should cooperate with the Interior Ministry and and other Russian ministries. Another important aspect is supporting the rights of honest entrepreneurs. We have seen the number of various inspections decrease, including planned and unplanned inspections. We have 282,000 inspections. Since July 1st last year, when the new law was adopted, almost every second unplanned inspection was declined out of 200,000. This trend should continue in accordance with what the President said with respect to unwarranted inspections. So these inspections should be delegated from the regional level to the subject of the federation level. Local officials must carry out inspections in a simplified manner. They should digitize a lot of the processes. New measures are taken to support businesses, investment projects. So you should control the compliance with the law when it comes to investment. As for foreign businesses, the types of changes we are making must show to foreign investors that Russia is a reliable partner and that their funds and that their money will be protected. Another important area is the development of the defense industry and the defense sector. Last year, during one of the meetings with the federal officials of the state military corporations, we have taken measures to improve discipline when it comes to defense procurement. Over the last 10 years, we've seen certain problems when it comes to defense procurement, but now we see a completely new picture. 200 million worth of debts were paid out when it comes to this area. A lot of money has been paid out to compensate for violations in this area. Import substitution and modernization of arms is also an important area. Competitive Russian industries must be prioritized. You need to use all legal means available to us to protect the legal rights of companies and entities involved in the defense industry. Russian army should be provided with all the necessary equipment that should be held in a that should remain efficient. When it comes to the violations against Russian citizens and Russian military personnel, all of these cases must be addressed. All of the people involved in crimes against Russians in the Donbas also should be addressed. Contraband and smuggling of weapons in the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics must also be investigated. We have seen a lot of Mr. President, I share your concern with respect to the low rate of resolution of criminal cases in certain areas, and so we must resolve this situation, and relevant bodies must work towards improving our indicators here. So constitutional guarantees must be upheld for all people involved in criminal matters and criminal cases. Work again to thwart extremist groups and their plans should continue. We have seen sources of extremist ideologies rise over the past year, but we have deleted the sources or this extremist information from over 450,000 websites. And we expect that your work along these lines becomes more quick, and that you react more quickly to the violations of these laws when it comes to extremism. In many cases, we see these violations orchestrated or funded by foreign entities. We have over 300 administrative cases when it comes to foreign interference or foreign agents acting in Russia. Russian facilities, Russian cities must be protected from terrorist threat. Unfortunately, we have also seen a lot of a rewriting of history when it comes to the history of World War II and the Great Patriotic War. We need to keep the memory of the crimes of the Nazi regime in Germany alive, and a lot of work is being done to protect airfields, airports, and other transportation hubs. Civilian aviation receives additional support and funding in these difficult times. You need to also look into problems, potential problems when it comes to trains and rail transportation. We should not allow certain resources to be exported from the country. We have a new national plan developed by the President of the Russian Federation. We continue to implement the plans outlined before. We are fighting corruption and trying to compensate the various violations that have to do with bribery. Inspection and control over state officials and state employees are also taking place. We monitor the use of Russian resources abroad. In this, in the environment of sanctions pressure from the outside, we have the contract system, and corruption must be addressed. This is one of the largest responsibilities of the prosecutor's office. We have seen a politicized position by many of our Western partners. We continue having contacts with them, but now we prioritize our national priorities, and we continue to improve relations with friendly nations. Considering the current situation, we must be very vigilant when it comes to outlining our position. But overall, international standards show that the role of prosecutor's office is rising when it comes to ensuring law compliance with the law on the national level. This also concerns various penitentiary areas, penitentiary services, and I hope that the changes that we've had in that area will be enough to make this this area more efficient. And of course, you must always control what's happening in prisons. Prisoners and people detained must always be provided health care, and their rights must be respected. We need to prevent people from returning to crime after they have served their sentence. Many of the issues that we've had in the prison system, in the penitentiary system, have been addressed. We still have the problem of sentences that have to do with fines and payment of fines. There are certain cases when it comes to protecting the rights of the groups, of the most vulnerable groups of people. These cases must be prioritized. There are other cases. During my report, I talked about the prosecutor's office's work to address various applications. We have received over 127,000 of applications over the past year. This is the largest number of the past 27 years. This is an objective indicator that our people our people's trust is rising, trust for the prosecutor's office. to support people who have to move from the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics and from other regions of Ukraine. People must provide them with mobile state services offices. They must receive health care and social help and all kinds of other payments. We should prioritize, of course, the rights and health of minors and children. Another important area is, of course, training new specialists that would be working in the prosecutor's office, new staff. Today, we must be united. Colleagues, in my report, I only talked about part of our work. The effective, our effective work will the stability and success of our country depends on our work. I would like to thank President Putin for supporting our parliamentaries, of our employees and people from other bodies for constructive work. Mr. President, all of the instructions that you've given to us will be implemented in full. Thank you. Colleagues, I have just listened to this report. I have I've seen the decision of the board of the prosecutor's office. I have seen that all of the areas has been discussed and the written document and in this report, and indeed the first at the start you discussed the most important things, such as ensuring the single legal space in our country. This is, of course, one of the most important areas of our work. This is indeed a priority, and do not forget about it. We still have a lot of work, a lot of issues when it comes to the economy, when it comes to ensuring the rights of our people, when it comes to legal relations to the labor, when it comes to the labor market, when it comes to ensuring the rights of people in the housing and utilities system. This is actually written there. Well, prices for housing and utilities may also be monitored. So you have massive work and a massive responsibility, but you must not forget about even more private or smaller things, more pragmatic things, because these are the things that make up the life of every single citizen. And the life of our people is based on lives of our people are based on that. I've written all of this, and I wish you success and luck in carrying all this out. Thank you so much for your work.